All right, welcome. So, hopefully everything went well with the other section when you were finding these angles over here, and I'll go over the solutions with you if you need help. But let's move on to the next part, where here it's saying find sine, cosine of negative 30 and sine of negative 30 degrees, and it says identify the measure of the reference angle, la la la. So what do we do? And what I'd like you to do is for each question here for number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which what we're going to do is the first question I want you to answer is in which quadrant will the terminal ray be? What will be the reference angle? Which triangle will you use? Calculate sine of negative 30 and calculate cosine of negative 30. And what you have to do yet, we have no idea, but I will explain. So have this down and try and do this for each question, and it will really help. So here, what we want to think about is, what about clockwise rotation? Because here, before, if we said the sun was over here, right? And how did the sun move? It moved in this direction, right? This is the sun's direction. It just moved like this. And this is considered to be positive. Oh, sorry. This is considered to be positive rotation. But remember, this is counterclockwise. So if I were to say like I'm going 30 degrees, that means the sun is going up 30 degrees. But what if I were to say the sun is going negative 30 degrees? Where do you think the sun will go? It won't be going up in a counterclockwise rotation. It'll be going in the opposite way of a clockwise rotation. So if you have something like this will be clockwise rotation, right? This will be clockwise rotation, and it will be not positive, but it'll be negative. So if I go negative 30 degrees, if this is the 0-degree angle, here 30 degrees, negative 30 degrees will be here, right? And what will be the reference angle? It'll just be this 30 degrees, and then we just do the same thing, and then we make our triangle, and we could do that. But here, imagine if we're going negative degrees, right? This will be 0 degrees, and what's negative 90-degree rotation? If I say negative 90 degrees, our negative 90 degrees will be here. Our negative 180 degrees will be here, and our negative 270-degree rotation will be here. Then our negative 360 rotation is here, and then just keeps going around. You see, this is in a clockwise rotation. You see how it's the opposite? Here, our 90 degrees is on the bottom, and our 270 is on top. So we need to take this into consideration. So let's try and think of this problem over here. It says, what is sine of negative 30 and cosine of negative 30? So what do? We just create our coordinate plane, right? Let's create the circle, okay? And notice that what we're going to do is, if this is 0 degrees, and we're going to go negative 30 degrees, we're not going up, we're going down 30 degrees. So in which quadrant will the terminal ray be in? It's still, remember, the quadrants are still the same. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, right? And which quadrant will the terminal ray be? It'll be here, okay? Because it's going 30 degrees this way. And now look, this is 30 degrees. And now here, what will the reference angle be? It's the same. What's the reference angle? It's the angle between the terminal ray and the x-axis. So my reference angle is just 30 degrees, right? Oh, and which quadrant will we be in? We'll be in quadrant 4, right? Oh god, that's ugly. Here, quadrant 4, right? And now it says which triangle are we going to use? We could just use the 30, 60, 90, right? We're creating this triangle. This is the triangle we make. You see, boom, 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 right here. This is 30 degrees. This will be 90 degrees, and this will be the 60. And now if I were to find sine of negative 30 what would the sign of this be? Remember, if this is 30 degrees, this has to be a half, and this has to be square root of 3 over 2. So sine of negative 30 degrees will just be negative a half, because remember, it's in this quadrant. By now, if I say negative a half and you feel completely lost on why it's negative a half, raise your hand and just say, Mr. G, help me on this. But you should be quick. By now, this is negative a half because it's on the bottom side. It's on this quadrant. And what's the cosine? The cosine is just positive square root of 3 over 2. And that's it. Because here, the cosine in this quadrant is positive. Okay? Let's try and do another one together. If I say find cosine of negative 135 and sine of negative 135, what do? Well, let's make our plane, right? Let's make the circle, okay? Now, if this is 0 degrees, this will be, remember, we're going clockwise. We're going in this direction, okay? And when we go in this direction, it's negative. Because a long time ago, remember, the sun, when the sun was going around this, think orange. Look at the orange here. When the sun was going this way, people were saying that this way was positive because the sun was going this way. And if you go this way, this is the opposite way of the sun, right? So here, this rotation will be negative. Now it's saying to go how much? It says to go negative 135 degrees. Well, let's see. This will be what? This will be 0 degrees. This will be negative 90 degrees. This will be negative 180 degrees. And this will be negative 270 degrees rotation. So if I say, which quadrant will it be in? Quadrant, question mark. What will it be? Well, if here to here is negative 90, then to get to the 130, it should be 45 more over here to get to negative 135. Negative 135 will be here. This will be a from here to here will be a negative 135 degree rotation. And here, so which quadrant is it in? It's in quadrant 3. What's the reference angle? Reference angle. Well, you just do the same thing that, oh, sorry. Camera angle, okay. Quadrant 3, reference angle. Well, what's reference angle, right? What do? The same thing. We take a point between the intersection of the circle and the terminal ray, drop this perpendicular line. What's the reference angle? It's this small angle here. If this whole thing is 135, this angle has to be 45 degrees. So what do? We just say sine, we say let's do cosine first. Cosine of negative 135 degrees will be just the same as cosine of negative cosine of 45 degrees, right? Because we're going to use this 45, 45, 45. Oh wait, sorry, the triangle's upside down. It should be, this is the triangle, right? So it should be here. Right, this is this, 45, 45. And now by now, you know this is square root of 2 over 2, but square root of 2 over 2. But remember, we're in which quadrant? We're in quadrant 3. So this should be, our cosine is negative and our sine is negative. So we know that this is going to be negative square root of 2 over 2. And what's our sine of 135, of negative 135 degrees? It's equal to, yeah, let me write it over here. Sine of 135 degrees will be equal to negative sine of 45 degrees, and that's just equal to negative square root of 2 over 2. Okay? What I want you to do is think about this one. If I have negative 1320 degrees, what are we going to do? Alright? If this is a circle, if I go one rotation, I do how many degrees? If I go this way, it'll be negative 360 degrees. Well, I need to get to negative 320. And don't you remember this paper over here where I showed you the rotations? If we're going to try and get up to negative 1320, right? We want to get up to negative 1320. Well, this is one rotation, two rotation, three rotation. So I'm not going to do 4 rotations. I'm going to do 3 rotations. And it'll be the difference between the 1320 and the 1080. And then I'm going to use that to calculate my angle. So I'm going to pause the video real quick, and I want you to try and find the quadrant, right? What quadrant will it be? And what reference angle will it be? Okay? Try and do that for all these questions. So this one, this one, this one. It is difficult, but you can do it. Three counterclockwise turns. You did negative, oops, sorry. 3 counterclock turns will be negative 1080. So what you do is you're doing negative 1320 minus a minus 1080, right? Because you're subtracting this rotation. And what you get, this should be positive. So this will be what? 240. You have a negative 240 degree rotation left. So if I know that this is the 240 degrees rotate, after I do negative 1080, right? I do it once, twice, 3 times, I'm here. How much is left is this negative 240. So I need to do negative 240 more. This is negative 90, negative 180, and this should be negative 180. To get to the negative 240, it'll be a 60 degree rotation over here. From here to here should be 60 degrees. And that will be our reference angle. It'll be this 60 degrees. So it's in quadrant 2, and the reference angle is 60 degrees. And then you just do your special triangle of the sine and the cosine. If you're not fully catching this, don't worry about it. Like I will help you. Just raise your hand and I will show you how to do these. They're difficult, but not impossible. I believe in you.